The year is 1945. The world is weary, battered by the relentless storms of war. World War II, a conflagration the likes of which humanity had never seen, raged for 6 long years. It was a time of unprecedented destruction and loss, with battles fought on land, sea, and air, leaving no corner of the globe untouched. In Europe, the Nazi war machine finally ground to a halt. The relentless advance of the Allied forces had broken the back of Hitler's regime. The ruins of Berlin stood as a testament to the destructive power unleashed. The once proud city lay in tatters, a grim reminder of the cost of tyranny and war. But in the Pacific, the Empire of Japan fought on, fueled by a fiery, almost mythical national spirit. Their resolve seemed unbreakable, their determination to fight to the last man unwavering. America, victorious in Europe but bloodied and exhausted, faced a grim dilemma. The cost of continuing the fight in the Pacific was mounting, and the toll on soldiers and civilians alike was staggering. Japan showed no signs of surrender. Their military preparations were extensive, their defenses formidable. In fact, they were preparing for an invasion, mobilizing their entire population for a fight to the death. Civilians were being trained to defend their homeland with whatever means they had. The question wasn't if there would be more bloodshed, but how much. The scale of the potential conflict was almost unimaginable, with both sides bracing for a cataclysmic showdown. The answer, it seemed, lay in a top-secret plan, Operation Downfall, the proposed Allied invasion of the Japanese home islands. This plan was the culmination of intense strategic discussions and represented a monumental gamble. The plan was audacious, fraught with risk, and horrific in its potential cost. It called for a massive mobilization of troops and resources, with the aim of delivering a decisive blow to the Japanese war effort. It involved 2 massive operations: Olympic, the invasion of the southern island of Kyushu, which was to serve as the first step in a larger campaign, and Coronet, the intended knockout blow aimed at the Tokyo plain. This second phase was designed to bring the war to a swift and conclusive end. Downfall represented the largest amphibious assault ever conceived, dwarfing even the D-Day landings at Normandy. The scale of the operation was unprecedented, with an enormous number of troops and equipment poised to strike. It promised to be a struggle unlike any other, a battle for the very soul of Japan. The stakes were incredibly high and the outcome uncertain, as the world held its breath, waiting for the storm to break. Operation Olympic, slated for November 1945, was the first phase of this apocalyptic showdown. This operation was part of a larger plan, codenamed Operation Downfall, which aimed to bring the war to a decisive end by invading the Japanese home islands. It targeted Kyushu, the southernmost of Japan's main islands. The choice of Kyushu was strategic, as it was seen as the gateway to the rest of Japan. Kyushu, a land of rugged mountains and fertile plains, was crucial for its airfields. These airfields would provide the necessary support for the subsequent invasion of Honshu, the main island. These airfields were deemed essential for any hope of a successful invasion of the main island, Honshu, where Tokyo awaited. Control of these airfields would allow for sustained aerial bombardment and support for ground troops. The plan was complex, involving a massive naval armada and hundreds of thousands of battle-hardened American troops. The logistics of such an operation were staggering, requiring meticulous planning and coordination. Marines and soldiers, veterans of brutal island campaigns like Iwo Jima and Okinawa, would have to storm heavily fortified beaches. These men were experienced in amphibious assaults, but the scale of Operation Olympic was unprecedented. They would face a fanatical enemy fighting on home ground, prepared to die defending every inch. The Japanese military had been preparing for this invasion for months, if not years. The Japanese had prepared elaborate defenses, including underwater obstacles, minefields, and thousands of artillery pieces and suicide boats. These defenses were designed to inflict maximum casualties on the invading forces. They were ready to turn the beaches into killing fields, to break the American assault before it could gain a foothold. The Japanese strategy was to make the cost of invasion so high that the Allies would reconsider their plans. The fighting, everyone knew, would be savage. Both sides were prepared for a battle of unprecedented ferocity, one that would determine the fate of the Pacific War. The invasion of Kyushu, had it happened, would have been a horrifying spectacle. Picture the beaches transformed into infernos, the air thick with smoke, the sea itself stained crimson with blood. Imagine the deafening roar of naval guns, the terrifying screech of Japanese kamikaze planes diving into their targets, the desperate cries of the wounded amidst the chaos. The Japanese, though outmatched in technology and firepower, had a chilling advantage: the will to fight to the death. They were prepared to utilize every citizen, man, woman, and child in their desperate defense. School children were trained to use bamboo spears against tanks, housewives armed with grenades, the elderly prepared to become human bombs. It was a terrifying glimpse into the depths of human desperation, a nation willing to sacrifice everything to avoid the shame of surrender. Looming behind Olympic was the even more daunting Operation Coronet, the invasion of Honshu and the capture of Tokyo. If Olympic was a gamble, Coronet was the ultimate roll of the dice, a gamble on a scale never before seen in human history. It involved an even larger invasion force, millions of men, and a logistical nightmare the world had never witnessed. Coronet was scheduled for March 1946, but its feasibility hinged on the success of Olympic. If Olympic faltered, Coronet might never happen. The risks were almost unimaginable: a protracted war on the Japanese mainland, a war of attrition that could drag on for years, costing millions of lives on both sides. The very thought sent shivers down the spines of even the most battle-hardened generals. Section 5. A Sea of Blood, the Price of Invasion. The potential human cost of Operation Downfall was staggering. Conservative estimates predicted casualties in the millions. American casualties alone could have reached 1 million, with Japanese losses potentially exceeding 10 million. These figures are not mere numbers. They represent fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, entire families wiped out in the blink of an eye. Beyond the immediate carnage, the economic cost would have been immeasurable. Japan, already devastated by years of war, would have been reduced to rubble. The American economy, though victorious, would have been crippled by the prolonged conflict. The world would have entered the post-war era not with a sigh of relief but with a shudder of horror, forever haunted by the specter of downfall. As the Allies prepared for this gruesome possibility, a new terror emerged from the deserts of New Mexico: the atomic bomb. The Manhattan Project, a top-secret research effort, had unlocked the unimaginable destructive power of the atom. The decision to use this terrifying new weapon, to unleash it on Japan, remains one of the most controversial in human history. The bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, however horrific, ultimately forced Japan's surrender and brought World War II to an end. The debate about whether this act was justified, whether it saved lives in the long run by preventing the even greater bloodshed of downfall, continues to rage to this day. It's a moral calculus with no easy answers, a chilling reminder of the terrible choices forced upon humanity in the crucible of war. The world that emerged from World War II was shaped by the decisions made in its final desperate months. The atomic bombings cast a long shadow, ushering in the atomic age and a new era of geopolitical tension, the Cold War. The United States, once wary of global entanglements, emerged as a superpower, its military and economic might unrivaled. But what if Operation Downfall had proceeded? What if the atomic bombs had never been used? It's a question that has fascinated historians and armchair strategists for decades, prompting countless hypothetical scenarios and fueling endless debate. The truth is, no one can say for sure what might have been. History offers no do-overs, only tantalizing glimpses into alternate timelines. Though never realized, Operation Downfall continues to resonate with chilling significance. It serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of war, the terrible price paid for conflicts that seem to offer no way out. It compels us to confront the very nature of warfare, the fine line between resolve and fanaticism, the moral dilemmas faced by leaders in times of unimaginable crisis. Downfall's legacy is also a cautionary tale about the dangers of nationalism and militarism, the seductive allure of easy answers and simplistic solutions. It reminds us that war is never the answer, that even in the face of unimaginable evil, there must always be a search for a better path, a way out of the darkness. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of Operation Downfall is the specter of nuclear war that haunts us to this day. The very thought of such immense destruction has shaped global politics, international relations, and even our collective psyche. The atomic bombs dropped on Japan opened Pandora's box, unleashing a force so powerful that it threatens to destroy us all. The devastation witnessed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was just the beginning. A grim preview of what could happen on a much larger scale. The world has lived under the shadow of this threat ever since, a chilling reminder of the fragile peace we so often take for granted. During the Cold War, the fear of nuclear annihilation was a constant presence, influencing everything from government policies to everyday life. The hypothetical horrors of downfall pale in comparison to the potential devastation of a nuclear holocaust. The sheer scale of destruction that modern nuclear weapons can unleash is almost unimaginable, making the need for disarmament and peace more urgent than ever. The lesson of downfall, then, is not just about the past, but about the future. It serves as a stark warning of the consequences of unchecked aggression and the importance of diplomatic efforts to prevent such a catastrophe. It's a reminder that we must find a way to live together on this planet, to resolve our differences without resorting to violence, and to prioritize dialogue over conflict. The stakes are too high for us to ignore this lesson, to ensure that the horrors of World War II are never repeated. The memories of those who suffered and perished must guide us towards a more peaceful and just world. The fate of humanity may very well depend on it. Our ability to coexist peacefully and address global challenges collectively will determine the future of our world.